Last October, in the quiet Mississippi town of Pascagoula, two local men confronted authorities with a rather bizarre story. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker told of a strange craft landing near their fishing site and of being taken aboard by three unearthly creatures.
Tonight on Redacted Tapes, two of the most talked about alien abduction cases in modern UFO history. Two stories, different states, different decades, but both center around the same terrifying idea: missing time and encounters with something beyond explanation. First, the Pascagoula River case in Mississippi. October 11th, 1973. The night along the Pascagoula River in Mississippi was quiet. Humid air, dark water, a typical evening for two shipyard workers winding down after work. Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker had gone fishing. Nothing unusual, just rods, bait, and the sound of insects. Then everything changed. At first, a noise. Not a boat, not an airplane. A strange buzzing sound cutting through the riverbank silence. Both men reported turning around and looking towards the water. And they saw it. A glowing object, oval-shaped, blue-white light pulsing faintly against the darkness. And it wasn't far away. It was close enough that they could see it clearly over the river. Then the object opened or shifted and something emerged. Three figures moving towards them. Descriptions vary, but both men describe the same unsettling traits: wrinkled skin, stiff movements, claw-like hands, and mechanical, almost robotic way of walking. Not what most people imagine when they hear alien. This felt heavier, less fantasy, more physical. And then, panic.
We were sitting on the other side of the pier with our feet, over toward the river, fishing in the river. And the fish still wasn't biting, so I told Calvin, I said, well, we might as well go home. I guess that was when I heard it. It was some kind of zipping sound. And when I turned around, in this area out here, about 40 or 50 feet out there, there was some kind of craft, it looked like it was going to come right onto the ground. But it came on down and hovered about a foot and a half or 2 feet off of the ground. But we didn't know what to do, the river behind us and that out there not knowing what it was. So, and then before we had time to really do anything, it seemed like an opening appeared. Toward the end, it was, toward us. And the blue light, it had blue flashing lights as it was, approaching the ground, but then they went out. And when the opening appeared, some source of light came from the inside. It was just almost blinding.
Parker later described pure fear. Hickson described shock turning into paralysis, because suddenly they couldn't move. No struggle, no restraint, just complete inability to react. Then came the part that defined the case. They said they were lifted off the ground, taken towards the craft. Everything after that becomes fragmented into their accounts. Hickson later described walking inside a bright lit environment, smooth walls, no visible corners, no familiar structure. Then he noticed something moving near him, a floating eye-like device. It didn't speak. It didn't touch him. It just moved around him, observing, scanning, studying. Then, blackout.
When I looked around, it was something that had come down behind Calvin and me, some kind of big craft. A door just appeared there, like a sliding door. And two of them took hold of me by the shoulders, and one took hold of Calvin, and I saw Calvin go limp.
Once inside the craft, Hickson remembers being examined by an oblong-shaped instrument that hovered around him. He was completely paralyzed. Only his eyes could move. Hickson doesn't know how long he was there, but the unknown creatures released him sometime later, physically unharmed.
They carried me back out there and put me on the ground about where they'd picked me up from. And I heard a zipping sound again, and I looked around, and that craft was gone just like that.
The next clear moment, they remembered. They were back at the riverbank, the object was gone, and the night unchanged. Except they weren't the same. They were shaken, disoriented, confused about time. They went to the police, and investigators did something unusual. They left the two men alone in the interrogation room, secretly recording them, expecting laughter. A confession. A prank being revealed. Instead, what they recorded sounded like fear.
And the position they had me, I said, no. Yeah, I don't know how long they left me. They didn't come back.
You don't have any idea how long
I don't have no watch. You said, I'm scared.
How long did you say? 30 minutes?
I'd say 20 or 30 minutes if they left me. And then when they come back, they laid me back, over.
You didn't try to talk to them, ask them what was going on?
Yes, I did. But I get a buzz and sound like one of them, that's all. They didn't pay me no attention, my talking or nothing.
One man panicked. The other tried to calm him down. No joking, no relief, just confusion and distress.
But we felt like we needed to tell someone, but we didn't know who to tell, so we decided to call Keesler, and Keesler told us they didn't want anything to do with this, to call our local sheriff department. So we did. We stopped and called the local sheriff department, and now I don't have any idea what time and all this was taking place. So after we called our local sheriff department, they sent a patrol car out to pick us up at Charlie's apartment.
You did not weather through all of this quite as well as Charles did. You experienced a couple of breakdowns, is that correct?
Yeah, I really wouldn't say it was a severe nervous breakdown or anything, but it's just more stress than what I could handle because I had more things, going on, trying to make a living. I was getting married in that year, the same year, just about a month after this happened. And it's just so much pressure on me, I just couldn't stand it, so I pretty much stayed out of the media, and, there was a time or two that I had to go in the hospital on account of my nerves. And, I still have problems with my nerves.
The case became one of the most famous UFO encounters in American history, but it was only the beginning. Three years later, different state, different environment entirely, deep in the wilderness of Maine, a group of 4 friends set out on a canoe trip into the remote Allagash region. One of them was Jack Weiner. No cities, no roads, no artificial light, just lakes, trees, and silence. At first, everything was normal. Fishing, camping, laughing around the fire, survival in the wilderness. But one night, while paddling across the dark water, they noticed something unusual in the sky. A light, bright and unnatural, hovering above the tree line. They watched it carefully. At first it seemed distant, then it changed position, stopped instantly, moved again, like it was observing them back. The men tried to signal it, flashlights, beams cutting through the dark, and then something strange happened. The object responded. The light intensified, moved closer, closer still, until it dominated the sky above them. And then, silence. No memory of what came next, no transition, no continuity, just a blank gap in time. Later, they realized something disturbing. Hours were gone. Their campfire had burned far lower than expected. Time didn't match their memory. Something had happened, but none of them could consciously recall it.
When Chuck, at the back of the canoe, saw something and called our attention to it, I thought, well, that's the moon.
The first thing that we saw, the object itself was rising out of the forest. And it was about 200, maybe 250 yards away. And then it just stopped and hovered above the trees.
I'd estimate maybe 200, 250 yards away.
As soon as I saw it, I knew it was something strange. It, for one thing, it didn't make any sound at all.
A yellowish white light, almost like a sun. And it had this weird, very weird roiling effect. It was moving as if it was alive.
I picked up a flashlight, turned the light on, and I flashed an SOS. Immediately when I did that, this thing stopped moving. An instant later, this shaft of light came from somewhere in the bottom of this sphere
with this beam of light coming across the water right towards us.
And I remembered looking back to see where this thing was and thinking, you know, in my mind, it was like still fairly far away. And instead, it was almost right on top of us. I mean, I thought to myself, there is no way we're going to get away from this thing. Then the next thing we all knew was our front of our canoe hit the beach at the camp.
Years later, under hypnosis, each man separately describes similar experiences. Bright rooms, beings with large eyes, medical examinations, feelings of helplessness, and overwhelming confusion. But hypnosis is controversial. It can distort memory, blend imagination with suggestion, so skeptics remain unconvinced. Still, the consistency of their accounts kept the story alive. 2 cases: Charles Hickson and Calvin Parker on the riverbank in Mississippi. 4 friends, including Jack Weiner, in the wilderness of Maine. Different locations, different years, same unsettling theme: missing time and memories that don't fully fit together. There is no physical proof of abduction in either case, but the stories endure because of what they describe: a gap in human experience, where something seems to have happened, but no one can fully explain it. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep searching for the stories that time tried to erase. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow, share, and join us next time as we continue to explore the paranormal, the unexplained, and the stories hidden between fact and mystery. This has been Redacted Tapes.